Alright, so the last ride with Tancho gave me some different ideas about what to try with him, what we might need to work on. You can see I've got another different saddle on him yet again. I think every video I've had a different saddle. That's because I think saddle fit is one of the most important aspects. You can see me circling him there, trying to get his attention off his friends. One of the most important aspects of how your horse is going to perform, so if I can keep trying until I find something that's going to work a little better for him, I will keep doing that. This is a kind of a barrel or roping style saddle that I think he might be more familiar with. It seemed worth a shot. So, you can see I used my outside rein there a little to get his attention away from the barn. So you're going to have to excuse my awkward riding here. You're going to see in a minute, I notice this is my first time using this saddle, and I'm about to notice that my stirrups are short. But I thought about changing them and balanced out how antsy he was going to get while I did that versus how much it was actually going to affect me to have them a little shorter than I like, and decided, I'll suck it up for today, I'll fix them later. So, yeah, here I go. Can I fix this? Better not. I figured I would just suck it up, I'll fix it later. In the time it would take me to adjust them, he would just get probably more upset. Trying to hold him still was not worth it. So today I wanted to do an experiment. In some of the other videos you can see he gets kind of hot, kind of nervous, he's kind of prancy, he's reacting, not violently, but he's taking the rein pressure and he's coiling up against it. So I wanted to see what happened if I just released that. I'm not going to tell him to go fast, I'm not going to egg him on, no verbal or leg cue. I'm just going to keep a loose rein. I'm holding on to the horn because I don't know what he's going to do. And you can see he lets out a little of that energy. We got a nice lope there. So I'm holding on to the horn for a couple of reasons. As I said, my stirrups are a little shorter than I like. That's not affecting my riding hugely, but it's not ideal. He's coming back from an injury, he's out of practice, he's fresh, and I don't know if he's going to experience pain or difficulty at the lope because we haven't worked on it a lot. So basically I have a recipe for a bucking horse. I don't want to psych myself out for it and cause it by expecting it, but I want to hold in the back of my mind that we have a really good stage set here for him to possibly buck, so I'm keeping that in mind. And you'll probably notice my balance shifting and looking a little wonky. I was trying to figure out, I wanted to sit a little lighter, I wanted to not strain his back end if I could, but I also didn't want to sit too far forward because again, if he bucks, I don't want to be too light and forward. So you'll see me kind of shifting my seat a little, like how forward do I want to be, what's most comfortable for the two of us together. And he lopes off again. So basically the idea was, I don't know if you can tell because of where the camera is sitting, but that is a slight uphill going away from the camera, slight downhill coming back. So I wanted to see if I just took away that rein pressure, would he let out some of that nervous energy? Would it dissipate? Was it that he was just jigging in response to the rein tension, and if I sort of let him go, would that sort of just peter out into nothing once he had nothing to fight against? Does he actually have a lot of energy? Is he feeling good? Does he want to be running? What's going on? So I thought I'd just let him a little loose. I didn't let him get too crazy, so you'll see at the end. It does go downhill again after that, and I didn't want him to run downhill. Again, we're still not sure what kind of strength he's rebuilt in that back end yet, so we're just kind of testing the waters here. So I do actively slow him down a little towards the end. I didn't have to work too hard to do that because he doesn't want to get too far from his friends in the barn. So it just took a little bit of pressure for him to be coaxed down at the top of the hill. And then the walking back, pretty easy. You'll see I'm going to start here pretty soon some maneuvers. Basically, when we're going up the hill, it's just I'm holding the horn, the reins are loose, I'm letting him set the pace. Sometimes he lopes off right away, sometimes he walks halfway then lopes. I think there's a few times where he just trots the full way. He's feeling it out, but he is getting some of that energy out. He does seem like he's feeling good and he wants to get forward, and he's And, he might have been trained to do that. He was a roping horse. He may be trained to do this kind of launch out the gate action. And then on the way back, he's not in such a hurry, which is weird because you'd think he wants to get to the barn, but it's downhill. Maybe that's harder for him. That's fine. Basically, I'm trying to just see how much of this does it take for him to chill. And on the way back, I'm also going to start trying to do some turns. One of the things he does that I'm not sure how to get around yet is when I go to turn him, he wants to pivot in place every time. I can't get him to do a smooth circle really easily. So even a light cue is he's either stuck or he's swinging around, or he wants to go backwards and turn. Even with almost no rein pressure, he wants to back and turn. He's really upset about anything happening in the bridle. And you can see there what happened. I tried to do that little circle there. It started as a back, it turned into a spin, and then after it happened, he trotted off. He built up energy because of the maneuver, it feels like. And I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if he's used to a maneuver preempting this launch off, or if it's stressing him out, making him nervous and giving him that energy, making him trot out of the maneuvers. So basically, from this point forward, what I'll be doing is up the hill, I just kind of stay out of his way, and then down the hill. This time he wanted to lope down, and it's a smooth enough hill that I figured it wouldn't hurt him to lope down once. Down the hill, what I'm going to start trying to do is test those maneuvers, test that steering, and I want to see if the more we let this energy out, I want to see if that's going to smooth him out any. If getting some of this, if it's nervous energy, if it's just pent-up energy, whatever it is, if letting him get that out, running up this hill a few times, is going to lead to smoother steering. And I'm going to start getting persistent about the steering. I don't want him to throw a tantrum, get away with things. You'll see he likes to also put his head down and try to rub his bridle off on his legs. So I think the only time I really put leg on him is when I'm trying to turn him and he's stuck, or when he's trying to rub his bridle off. I don't know if it's actually annoying him or if he's just upset. Like I said, anytime anything happens with the bridle, he doesn't want stuff going on. There's that spin. I can't get a circle, now I can get a spin. For anyone who hasn't been following along, the dentist was out, I think it's about 3 weeks ago, so he has been floated. His teeth are good. Nothing there should be bothering him. And there you see that weird little head snap. It'll be not responding, fine, I'm responding. That little snap, okay. So he doesn't seem to be lacking for energy, and it doesn't seem like he's suffering from a lot of weakness going up this hill repeatedly. We have been doing in-hand work where I lead him up the hills. The pasture he gets turned out in is on a hill. So he has been building up a lot of muscle. I've been giving him some supplements for that. He's been getting some protein. It seems like he's building some good strength, and he doesn't seem to be having a lot of trouble getting those back legs to push him up and forward on this hill, even with a rider. On a steeper hill, he might. This seems okay. He doesn't seem like he's getting fatigued abnormally fast. So here I'm working on some maneuvers. That tail swishing, too. I'm not sure what's up with the tail swishing. He's uncomfortable somehow. I've checked him for back pain. It seems to be related to getting him to maneuver, getting him to respond to the bridle. And again, the dentist was here. The vet did various flex tests on his neck. There's no pain in his mouth or in his neck. There's no pain in his back, and we're, taking care of his legs and all that. It might be that it's hard for him to bend his neck the way he does. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on that bit. I'm not asking him to frame up or anything. I think that's training he's had to do that. But it also might just be that he's not happy about being asked to maneuver. So it's kind of hard to say, again, because we don't have a full history on him. So we don't have a baseline for his behavior. And lopes off again. And I'll just remind you, I'm not asking for the lope. I'm not doing kiss. I'm not using my legs. I'm just sort of presenting him with the reins with no contact and saying, there's the hill, what you want. And what I'm hoping for actually is that he won't lope off. I want to get to a point where he's gonna chill. And I did sort of actively slow him down there. There are a couple of times, I may have missed them. There are a couple of times where he got pretty powerful towards the top of that hill, and I had to kind of rein him back so he wouldn't keep going and end up, the hill gets steeper on the other side, and I didn't want him going down the steep hill at a lope. See those maneuvers? It's he seems to remember neck reining, but he's not all the way there. So right now it's a little bit of I'm neck reining, I'm having to remind him, pull out that second hand. You can see that little bit of using my leg to try to get him to curve around, and he just wants to kind of back into the turn or scoot sideways around the turn or pivot in the turn. He doesn't want to move off in a curve, and that's something we can work on more in the groundwork. Although when I'm lunging him, and I have video of it, he doesn't seem to have a whole lot of trouble moving in a circle. It's not that he has trouble crossing a back leg under, moving forward in a circle. He did originally, but we've worked a lot on that, and it's gotten to a point where that should be okay. Has been okay so far. Maybe it's different with a rider. So maybe that's something to look into. Maybe do some lateral steps with him on purpose for a while until he feels better about doing them forward. I'm just, rambling ideas. I'm open to suggestions. If any of these sound good, if any of them sound terrible, I'm always open to feedback. I'm sort of feeling my way through. I'm not as familiar with Western riding and Western trained horses. There's the backwards again. You can see him really lightening up on his mouse to try and try to make sure I'm not doing anything to encourage that backwards motion. I'm just asking for the turn, and somehow to him that means, well, let's go backwards to avoid her doing anything up front. Is what it feels like. I don't know if I'm accidentally asking. Not sure. So here we go. This is the first one where he's like, all right, let's just walk. I don't know if he finally ran out of energy. It doesn't seem like he's really that tired, but it seems like he's burned off the nerves. He's still calling to his friends. Honey has been yelling at him the whole time. They have a crazy romance, and they just yell at each other nonstop. So, he still wants to know where they're at. He's still looking up at the barn, but he seems to have sort of gotten okay with this idea. All right, we're down here. This is our area that we're working in. We're not going further from my friends, but nor is she letting me run all the way back. He's kind of settled. He walked out. He's not in a hurry to get there because we're just going to come back and go again. He seems to think. So walk out, walk back. And so this is when you sort of take a gamble, is that the calmest, nicest I'm going to get, or do I think I can do better? I think that was the best I was going to get. I think if I kept at it, he was going to get back to being nervous and frustrated. So I dismount there. That release of pressure, that good job, good boy, we're done because that was what we were after this whole time, and that's what we did today.